Klint Kubiak saying that Rob Leonard will be switching the defense from a 4-3 to a 3-4. And of course, big questions come out is like, okay, how does this affect the team? And what's for me, like the way I look at it is it definitely gives us a little bit of an outlook on how the Raiders are going to be looking at free agency and even the NFL draft, with certain players addressing certain positions. But for you, what do you what was like the biggest thing? I guess you could say that this affects the team as it pertains to that 3-4 base defense.
All right, so it's a 3-4 base defense, and I don't know if we should like think too much of it, but it is significant because you got to think the base defense is what we're going to run 30% of the time. Not really more than that, but then you play off of it. Not meaning that the Raiders still won't run a little 4-3 or maybe a 5 or 3-5. They're going to run um, different ways of doing it, but the 3-4 personnel is going to be your base package of what you put out there. And there's some strengths and there's some weaknesses to it. And the strengths, like I mentioned in the video yesterday, is that it gives you a little bit of flexibility. It's harder to for the offensive linemen when they're trying to block you because you could design your blitzes and disguise them just a little bit more. And um, it's the way to stop the modern offense. Like if you have the right players, right? I mean, and people like get on me about that, but you have to have a good nose tackle, and it could be one of those that are it's could be one of those defenses that get run on when you find a good downhill running team. But it's not as predictable as a 4-3 defense. I'm interested to see it. I like it, and if um, there's some players I think that could fit it that we already have on our roster, and um, I wonder why we haven't gone to this earlier. Uh, but like I'm not gonna get into the players yet because you said that you wanna do that in a second. But yeah, I'm kind of liking this 3-4 mixture. And if Rob Leonard is feeling confident and he feels that we already because Rob Leonard's been here, like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is he's coming in and going, okay, we're doing it. He's been here, so he kind of knows. He probably already has in mind who's playing where with the guys that are already on the roster.
No, most definitely. And when I looked more into it, like I was like, okay, it doesn't like you said, they could still go to that 4-3, if they want to move a linebacker up, play in dirt or whatnot, but it gives a lot of flexibility for the defense. And it definitely comes down to having the right players for sure. And the next question I wanted to ask you, because I know a lot of people go straight to it, and it's like, okay, does Maxx Crosby fit this defense, right? Especially if you're going to move him to basically an outside linebacker type deal, right? Because I guess when I looked at it or I looked it up and whatnot, like he would most likely play like that outside linebacker role where he could possibly drop back in coverage and still rush the passer as well. But what's your thoughts on Maxx Crosby?
Yeah, I think it actually benefits Max more than what people are saying. Like I like when I first looked at it, I was like, okay, is Max going to stay at the DN or will they move him out to linebacker? And I would think that it would benefit him to put him out at the outside linebacker, either right or left outside linebacker, and it's going to open him up more because he's going to be able to basically be out there in the 7 and 9 gap and be able to get that one-on-one blocking scheme away from everybody. I don't know if I want to put him how much I want to put him in coverage. I think it will allow Max to take control of the edge of the whole side of the sideline because he's already a dominant guy in the running game, and
Yeah,
now you're freeing him up. You're actually putting him in a 2 point stand. He doesn't have to put his hand in the dirt. He can read it a little bit more. And I mean, look at what TJ Watt does in it. He's dominant in it. And I think it helps Max more than it will hurt Max in the long run. I just don't want to see him in coverage, and I don't think they'll ever do that.
yeah. And that's why I was like, okay, I can still see him playing that role though. But like some people, I see some people were like, oh, this means that Max might go or something. I was like, no, it doesn't mean that at all. It would just kind of change the way he plays on the defensive side of the ball. And
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, I've seen those too. I've seen those. Well, this means Max is totally gone. No, I think every move that the Raiders have made this offseason, Rob Leonard and the 3-4 defense is beneficial to Max if he wants to, if he looks at it in the long run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shout out to Knight. He says, "Can you correct me if I'm wrong? But I think this will allow Max to move around more." Yeah, and I think you kind of alluded to that, right? Like he'd be able to move a lot more around that defensive line, or not defensive line, but
Yeah, and seen them move Max around the last couple of years, and a lot more last year. Even with moving him on the inside, just finding the right matchups for Max is the right way. And we've seen where offenses use most of their resources to block Max
yeah,
Crosby, right? Like you see him double team, triple team, and then you're like we've always said, we're wondering where is that. But this will allow this will allow us to get Max hopefully on those one-on-ones, and will it affect his sack numbers? Some say that will where you will see it.
yeah,
I don't think so. I think we've already seen Max's sack numbers affected by the lack of players that we've had around him.
hmm
Um, I think this might actually open it up because Max is an incredible pass rusher when he is one on one, and not a lot of people are going to be able to block him one on one.
I think even if the sack numbers go down, though, maybe those interception numbers go up. My mouse could play a little bit in coverage too. You see them against the Bears, man, last year, man, doing it all by himself, tip ball and getting his own interception, man. That's come on, man. What can't Max do, right? But it doesn't only affect Max, right? But it affects a lot of the other players that we look at, right? And the players that we have on the squad right now. And I've seen a lot of names of people saying that this could benefit some players. You look at Malcolm Kuntz now a little bit differently, right? Because I think he's better suited for a 3-4 defense with his size and speed. You look at Tyree Wilson, maybe he could be one of those ends as well. And then there's other names like JJ Pegues or Tonka, but like outside of those names or even those names, it's like I guess what players from this team do you see could benefit from this outside of like a Max Crosby?
Well, I think that's the biggest one is everybody's asking about is Tyree Wilson because we did have the most draft capital into him. And you saw when Tyree Wilson was lined up on a guard or on the inside, his speed and his arm strength is there, and it's better for him. I think he does better against a slower guard than a tackle.
Yeah,
So it might help him. Like you said, Malcolm Kuntz could bounce outside, but I don't know if that's what the Raiders. I don't know how much it changes if I think if the Raiders were going to bring Malcolm Kuntz back already, or some of these guys back, they were going to do it either way. Linebacker wise, I think that's where we might see it because, like we were talking about Elandon Roberts yesterday, where
yeah,
do we re-sign him? What do we do with him? I mean, now you're looking at like you're going to need two basically middle linebackers out there, and Elandon Roberts. One of them has to be pretty good in every aspect of the game. The other one could be your run stopper, your guy like the Landon Roberts. So I could see him staying now. Um, the guys in the middle. So the one I'm looking at is I'm looking at the nose tackle, and that's the one I'm trying to look at our roster and go,
big boy in the
who
middle,
can we
dog.
put in the middle right now? If we don't go out and get anybody, who could be in that middle?
Adam
And
Butler.
Adam Butler did it. He did it for the Patriots a couple years ago. Is he there? Could one of the young guys, like you said, and JJ or Hemingway do it? But I don't know. I think they're going to look into it. There's a lot of good defensive
Yeah,
linemen in this draft that they can go after. But I think it does benefit those guys, those two young guys, especially putting them as the defensive ends, like the defensive end slash defensive line in the 3-4. I think it's going to help them out a lot because they're going to be able to get the matchups better with the guards, and like I said, it's just going to kind of open it up a little bit more. But
yeah.
hopefully they're able to stop the run. That's the main thing. Like we haven't been able to stop the run in a while, in a long time. With it doesn't matter what our formation is.